Kyrie Irving has been one of the top point guards in the NBA for many years, and after missing most of last season due to an injury, the spotlight will once again be on him as both he and Kevin Durant will be on the Nets. So in today's video, we'll talk about 10 things you didn't know about Kyrie Irving. Number 10, basketball runs in the family. When you see someone who's as skilled as Kyrie, you probably wonder where he got all that from. And in his case, it's definitely from his father Dredrick, who grew up playing ball on the parks and pavements in the Bronx. Dredrick Irving was a standout player in high school, earning himself a scholarship with Boston University, where he became the school's all-time leading scorer. Kyrie's even said on multiple occasions that he believes his dad was the better basketball player of the two. If that's the case, we can only imagine how good Irving Sr. was in his prime. Unfortunately though, Dredrick failed to secure a roster spot in the NBA, and he had to settle for a career overseas. His first opportunity came in 1992 when he agreed to join the Bulleen Boomers in Australia, where he became the league's top scorer with 30 points per game. As Kyrie was growing up, his dad worked extra hours to teach his son everything he knows and introduced him to various drills that he used to do growing up in the Bronx to improve his dribbling and shooting. Number 9, he received death threats. Not many people know this, but at the start of his NBA career, Kyrie had his first taste of controversy, as he was involved in a very unpleasant online exchange with a person named Jessica Jackson, or Miss Hawaii. Jackson accused Irving of insulting her and sending her inappropriate videos, and she also accused some of his family members of threatening her if she didn't stop talking about the soon-to-be NBA star. A little later, Miss Hawaii appeared in a video where she heavily insulted Kyrie and even threatened to stab him. After this, Kyrie had enough and he decided to file a police report on her, after which she was forbidden to make any contact with Irving. The two apparently had never even met for an extended period of time except for a brief 2-minute conversation in Charlotte, North Carolina. In the long run, this incident probably benefited Kyrie, who learned that he needs to be extra careful with who he deals with while being a celebrity. Number 8, he's great at singing and playing the saxophone. While Kyrie is a very busy man, it appears that he always finds times for hobbies and other interests outside of basketball. Aside from conspiracy theories, Kyrie also seems to be very fond of music, as he spends quite a lot of time either singing or playing an instrument. Kyrie's love for music came from his mom, who was a traditionally trained pianist, and Kyrie grew up listening to classical music, inspiring him to learn a couple of instruments himself, including the saxophone and trombone. Irving also trained his vocal abilities at his church and is now a very capable singer, which we can see in various videos where he's seen enjoying himself either alone or with his teammates. And while he's unlikely to pursue a singing career like some of his colleagues, singing is certainly one of Kyrie's guilty pleasures. And he does in fact have a studio-produced song called Ridiculous, which he dropped in 2018, where his singing prowess were on full display. Which musician do you think Kyrie should make a song with? Let us know in the comments. Number 7, the US is not his only home. While Kyrie spent most of his childhood in New Jersey, and he's labeled his pairing with the Nets as coming back home, Kyrie's first home was not in fact the Garden State, and it wasn't even anywhere in the US, but a few thousand miles across the ocean in Melbourne, Australia. Kyrie was actually born in Melbourne, where his father played professional basketball, and the family stayed there for 2 years after Kyrie was born before coming back to the US. Since he was born in Australia, Kyrie is even entitled to citizenship from the country. So now he holds dual citizenship between his native country and the country where he was born. Despite only having lived there for the first 2 years of his life, and as I can imagine, he probably barely remembers any of that, Kyrie speaks very fondly of Australia whenever asked. And he's even spent a few summers there since the start of his NBA career. At the beginning of his pro career, he even had the option to represent Australia in the 2012 Olympics in London, but he opted to represent the US instead. Number 6, he'll appear in a famous movie sequel. The long-awaited sequel to the iconic basketball movie Space Jam is finally set to be released in the summer of 2021. Space Jam: A New Legacy will feature LeBron James as the main protagonist, as well as a few other NBA and WNBA stars, reportedly including Kyrie Irving. While Kyrie's role in the movie is yet to be seen, we can imagine that it'll be something similar to the roles that Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Pat Ewing, and Larry Johnson played in the original Space Jam released in 1996, which saw Michael Jordan take on the Monstars in an effort to save the planet. Space Jam 2's premise will be around LeBron James, who will find himself trapped in a basketball video game, and he must lead the whole Looney Tunes gang to victory over the AI's digitalized champions. Number 5, his godfather was a 17-year NBA player. Kyrie's family ties with basketball go deeper than just his father, as his godfather is none other than Rod Strickland, who spent 17 years in the NBA and was one of the league's best point guards during the 90s. Strickland was an exceptionally gifted passer and a very good scorer. He even said that watching Kyrie play was like watching himself, as the two share a similar offensive game, despite Kyrie being a better scorer overall. Rod developed a very close friendship with Dredrick Irving, and he met Kyrie when he was in 3rd grade. After seeing how effortlessly Kyrie was handling the ball at a very young age, Strickland joked with Dredrick saying, "Your son will make you a lot of money." His predictions were spot on and were fully cemented when Strickland saw Kyrie play at the LeBron James camp when he was still in high school, where he impressed his godfather with his immense talent, being able to score and handle the ball with ease, and equally as well with both hands. Number 4. Cheated on by celebrity girlfriend. In January 2016, it was confirmed that Kyrie was dating famous R&B and hip-hop singer Kalani. However, the relationship didn't last long and would end in disaster just 2 months later. In March, after Canadian rapper Party Next Door posted an image of Kalani's hand as they appeared to be in bed together. This resulted in a lot of backlash towards Kalani, with thousands of fans blasting her all over social media for cheating on Kyrie. This resulted in Kalani feeling very depressed, and she even attempted suicide, after which she was hospitalized. Irving was very mature about the whole thing, and he even visited her in hospital, prioritizing the health of his friend for life, as he called her, in favor of his own feelings. Kalani later denied that she cheated, claiming that her relationship with Kyrie ended before the incident. The fact that Kyrie addressed the matter a full 2 years later in 2018 would lead us to believe that it wasn't the case. Kyrie has certainly moved on from this, as he's now engaged to Carlene Wilkerson, who's a model. Number 3. What he'll do after basketball. A lot of professional athletes run into the problem of not knowing what to do after their career's over, and that usually ends in bankruptcy, depression, or other similar issues. When it comes to Kyrie, though, he already has it figured out, as he has his eyes on a career as a journalist after he's done playing in the NBA. This can come as somewhat of a surprise, considering his recent run-ins, or should I probably say non-run-ins with the media, who he refused to speak with prior to the start of the 2021 season, even going as far as calling them pawns and unworthy of his attention. His dad, however, revealed that Kyrie has a strong interest in journalism, and he'll either likely become a journalist, sports analyst, or a coach working with young kids after his basketball playing career. If he's as good at any of those jobs as he is on the basketball court, we can get used to hearing about Kyrie Irving for many more years to come. Number 2. Main protagonist of a Hollywood film. You're probably already familiar with Kyrie's legendary character, Uncle Drew, who became extremely popular with his Pepsi commercials throughout the mid-2010s. The character became so popular that Pepsi decided to partner up with Temple Hill Entertainment to produce a film centered around him. The film was, believe it or not, called Uncle Drew, with Kyrie Irving as the lead role. The film followed the path of Drew, a New York basketball legend, who decided to bring his old team back together in an attempt to compete for a Rucker Park championship. That list of players includes Big Fella, played by Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller as Wilbur Wallace, a legally blind street baller, Chris Webber, whose character is called Preacher, as he's now a church minister, and Nate Robinson as Boots. While the movie didn't enjoy much mainstream success, it was thoroughly loved by basketball fans, who appreciated the film's comedic touch, along with the strong basketball presence of the film, as well as the appearance of some of their favorite characters and players such as Uncle Drew, Shaq, and others. Number 1. His special relationship with Kobe. It feels like yesterday when Kyrie Irving and Kobe Bryant had that legendary duel in Cleveland back in 2012, when Kobe finished with 42 points while Kyrie led his team to victory with 28 points and 11 assists. Over the years, the two developed a very close friendship, and Kobe would take the role of a mentor for a young Kyrie, often spending time with him in the summer to help him improve his game. When Kyrie won his first and so far only NBA championship in 2016, Kobe was first to call to congratulate him on the achievement. When asked which NBA player he had the most contact with, Kobe's answer would always be Kyrie. So when the news broke that Kobe Bryant, along with his daughter Gigi and 7 others, tragically lost their lives in a helicopter crash in January, Kyrie was devastated and couldn't gather up the strength to appear in his team's game against the Knicks that night. A couple of days later, Irving came back on the court but was still visibly very emotional throughout the contest. He appeared in the Kobe Bryant Memorial event held at the Staples Center, where the people closest to Kobe shared their stories about the Black Mamba and celebrated his life. Love him or hate him, Kyrie is certainly a fascinating character. What fact about him surprised you the most in this video? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more NBA content.